Squirrels.
Squirrels!
Oh my goodness. I saw that. I'm like, what does this thing possibly do?
It's kind of offensive looking at first until
Yeah, yes, that's what I immediately was thinking. Anyways, we could also do Medicaid expansion too, if you
That's
guys.
a good issue,
if you
yeah.
guys
Yeah,
want
sure.
it.
Wherever you want to go.
Especially after this,
But we just
10
talked.
hospitals no longer being on Anthem's
Yeah,
coverage
I
list.
blogged about that earlier, so yeah. So whatever you want, we'll talk.
All right.
We try to keep up with everything.
We'll just set you up
Yeah.
and you can...
I mean, I would be fine with really any topic at this point. This country is.
We
Well, we
live in
definitely
a
want to do
state-
legislative priorities.
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll start with that and then wherever we go.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
We live in a target-rich environment to the point where there are times I sit down at night and go, I'm paralyzed. I don't know what to start in on first. And I look at the clock later on. It's like 3 hours have gone by. I still haven't figured out what I want to write about.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
There's a lot going on. I mean, this whole Syria thing is just.
It gets overwhelming. I mean, people email you and they send you stuff and they're like, why aren't you talking about this? And I'm like, this isn't my job.
Yeah.
You know, this is my
Yeah.
hobby.
Well,
I
our
build
obsession.
birdhouses. You're going to send me email saying, you need to build that kind of birdhouse.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
We'll tell you what. You know what I do? I tell them, write a guest post. Right?
Yeah.
Do that. And that'll, Hunter Dan. I've challenged him on a couple of occasions now. Write a guest post. I've yet to receive one.
Lazy.
I don't know if he could.
Yeah.
He might taint his image if he posted on Granite Rock. You know, they wouldn't invite him to the right parties anymore.
He couldn't get back in the Monitor's
Good graces.
contributor group or whatever it was called.
Hey, people say, you got endorsed by GrokTALK? Granite Rock?
By the way, we now have call-in capability.
Oh.
We haven't really
Online.
tested it yet. I mean, we know it works, but we haven't done it live. Like,
Yeah, next week
Yeah.
I'm going to stay home and do the show from there. I've made one of the very few executive decisions I actually make around this place. So we're going to try that out, but then we'll be able to do that. So sometime if you have somebody you think would be good,
Yeah.
come on in.
Sure you want to do that?
And
Because
we'll do
Bill
this.
O'Brien's going to be here.
Huh?
Did you sure you want to do that? Bill O'Brien's going to be here
Oh, next week?
for an hour.
Oh, that would be fun.
Oh, drat. No, I'd rather be
You
here.
should be here. We'll do it the week after that.
Okay. And then I got to get the live audio streaming working again.
When they get the new board in, and we'll be screwing around with that. And
Yeah. Because we can do, just like a regular internet radio
Yeah.
program. We have the capability all built in. I just got to get that laptop up and running again. Then we'll add the live video streaming like we do for regular events and all that stuff. Eventually.
Yeah, is that new?
What, the camera?
Yeah.
No, it's
didn't-
just,
well, we didn't have it last time.
I
you
didn't
were
bring
here.
it in. Steve,
Gotcha.
I burnt out doing this. I was doing everything possible.
That's because it was way up on the side of the mountain and nobody could get up there.
Well, that plus all the work afterwards. So Steve said he'll take the point on doing this. And so we've been adding a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit. And it's been a whole lot easier. Steve's been doing all the post-production work, getting it out to all the various release areas.
We're coming back, by the way.
Oh, so it's been nice.
Yeah.
It's been very nice.
Welcome back to what we like to call GrokTALK. Steve McDonald here with Skip Murphy. AshleyPratt has joined us for this segment. We are brought to you by GraniteRock.com, New Hampshire's conservative website. We'd like to, as always, thank the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers for allowing us to occupy some space in their space.
Occupy.
Occupy CNHT.
Works for me.
It does. Hi Ashley, how you doing?
Hi, good morning. Happy Saturday to
For some
everyone.
reason I have the wrong microphone. I'll try that again.
Good morning.
Hey,
everyone.
there we go.
I was wondering why I couldn't
You're
hear
on
you.
4, not 3. I forgot. Okay.
Bloggers, we're not known for math.
Hey, that's quite all right.
Just numbers with little stickers. You can see them on the camera, probably. Ashley has come in today to help us entertain you with some conversation, and we talked about a couple different things we wanted to talk about. We're going to try to talk a little bit about Planned Parenthood, Medicaid, Obamacare, unions, but we wanted to start with legislative priorities because the second half. of the
Actually,
session-
we have to interrupt because you didn't introduce her properly.
I'm sorry.
She
Rick.
is the executive director of Cornerstone.
I mentioned coordinator, not executive director.
Yes.
Very good point. Very good point.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, but going into legislative priorities, obviously we're going into a new legislative year up at the State House. I believe January 8th might be the start date. I'm not quite sure on the exact start date of that, so don't quote me on that one. But this year we're moving ahead, and we are realizing there's been some rumblings that the repeal of parental notification could come up.
Oh, boy.
Which we've been talking about now for a while. It didn't come up last session, which I was pretty surprised about, but a lot of time seemed to be consumed around the budget and the casino, because the casino ended up as part of the budgeting debate, and that got interesting. We've all been there. But moving ahead, parental notification repeal would be coming up this session, which means that we're going to exhaust probably a lot of our time and resources into that battle.
Without getting too off track, the legislative priorities thing. Sorry, my microphone's in the wrong place. Whenever Democrats want to do something, we stupid conservatives, we always ask questions like, what do we need to do that for? Where's the evidence that this is an issue?
Yeah.
Is there any evidence that this is an issue?
Yes.
Repealing?
No, the parental notification is a problem.
Oh, it is for them.
It is for them,
Yeah.
I know, but I mean, normally, crazy guy steals his mom's guns and shoots some kids, everybody in the world has to pass gun control. Somebody ate too many donuts and got fat, we have to change the entire school lunch program. Where's the
Yeah.
evidence that parental notification is this horrible problem?
Well, that's the thing, is so far there has been none to prove that, and it was overwhelmingly, supportive and popular when it was passed. When was that, 2010?
Yeah, around there.
10, 11, something like
10,
that.
11, that legislative period. So looking at this and then seeing what happened as soon as we got into the last legislative session, which was pretty much that first week, there was a repeal bill for the education tax credit when there had been no proof at that point that this was an ineffective program, and it had just started in January of 2013.
Well, the same
So-
thing with the guns.
Yep. So it's like at this point, there's no evidence to support that these are failing programs in any way, and it's just a purely partisan issue.
So they're just going to waste resources and time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, to them, I'm going to
This is-
slightly
No.
disagree here.
Well, no.
This-
My point is that's their meme. Whenever we want to do something, it's a waste of time and resources. It's a waste of taxpayers' money and priorities. We should be focusing on this list over here.
Jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, jobs like there are. So-
Right. Well, it's mostly a case of they wish to erase any vestige of what the Republicans did. That's it. That's their entire
That's
agenda.
their MO. Yeah.
Period.
Giant blue eraser.
We cannot allow legislation passed by subhumans to exist. There's a little kerfuffle when Jane comes in. We'll talk about that, about what New Hampshire State Representative David Hewitt said about the late Bob Kingsley.
Yeah, Lynette Peterson sent me that a couple
Kingsbury.
days ago, right after I wrote the first post about
Yeah.
that video and stuff. And I was just like, somebody's going to write about this besides me, because I already kicked this can down the road.
That was me, and I was late on it. But, it shows you the utter disgust that a lot of Democrats now have for Republicans. You look at the new civility. That lasted, all of a
Never
tenth of a
did. It was
second.
always just a little placard that they held up in front of their evil...
And now they're blatant about it.
It is frustrating though, because I feel like since I have come in, obviously I started in January, so I have tried to be friendly, make friends. I don't think that I'm an unapproachable person, from either side of political spectrum. If you have an issue, you can talk to me about it. So I've tried to reach out to both sides of the aisle, because there are, different legislative efforts that I think we could all, benefit from working together on. And sometimes it just does not go over well. I'm told that I'm conservatively evil. How can I be a woman and
There
be a
you
Republican?
go.
And
There
it's
you
like,
go.
Honestly, I'm just trying to have a conversation, and I think that it's polite, to respect one another. If you disagree, fine. I just don't understand the whole need for this rudeness and this, I actually posted an op-ed. I think you guys had seen it or picked it up. Susan the Bruce, one of the bloggers, yes, let's take 2 seconds to, realize who that is. She came at me on Twitter and said that something to the effect of, because the Democratic chairs, as a whole, nationally, had started following me on Twitter, to which I followed,
Really?
I followed back.
Congratulations!
And I must be doing something right, so I followed back and I said, "Oh, this is an interesting follow, thanks," sarcastically. And to which that got Susan to reply, at least they won't oogle at your breasts and call you a vagina. And
I posted that op-ed.
To which I then responded on Twitter and said, first of all, female to female, you don't need to degrade me. We can have, political discourse and we can disagree with one another, but there is no need for you, from one female to another, to be that, demeaning and disrespectful. To which she then got involved and said, well, this is what Republicans are doing and you're not condemning their behavior. So then I wrote an op-ed piece to which she then responded and said that I was completely inaccurate and taking things out of line and that I'm acting like a little girl about this. And I'm like, no, women are afraid to enter into the political arena because of the constant, we're in the limelight all the time. So it's always like, you stand there, you get criticized by one party, you get criticized by the other gender, you get criticized by your gender. So what is the incentive for women, and female candidates to run for office if you're constantly going to be criticized, especially by your own gender? That's the most vicious thing that women can do to one another. It takes you down. When the one thing we do share, is our gender. We should be respectful of that at least. We can disagree with each other on what we want to do with our bodies, fine. I understand you're pro-choice, I'm pro-life. But that has nothing to do with treating someone the way that she did. So I just absolutely had it with the disrespect that's coming from the other side, and no condemnation of behavior from the Democrats. It's like, oh yeah, well we don't associate her with us. She's just a blogger, she just. I'm like, no, because the second she writes a story that you like, you will support that, but you don't condemn her awful and rude and politically incorrect
Weiner,
behavior.
Filner, client number 9.
Let's just, go down the line of, you want to call it a war on women, fine, there it is. That party is the one who's subjecting women to this objectification, and yet...
And they objectify themselves. They stand outside with signs with...
billboards.
Keep your hands off my vagina.
And
I'm
then
like,
they dress up as birth control package.
On a college campus. It's like you're going to walk around on a college campus in front of college guys with a big sign that says vagina on it.
Yeah.
Guess what? You're going to be treated like a vagina.
And I'm over here, and I know you're trying to be very serious, and I've got this... I'm giggling over here saying, welcome to our world.
Yeah, it's what happens. It comes with the territory. But at the same time, if there's going to be this whole disrespecting of one another, this isn't, a great environment to get things done in. This is one that is just politically tense. It's one where there's constant disrespect and degradation, which I don't think it's furthering anybody's agenda to act that way.
And I think it's going to just continue because there really is a religious doctrine on the left, the new left, the hardcore progressives, in that we are too stupid. There is that old phrase, conservatives think that liberals are misguided, liberals think that conservatives are evil. Well, what we've seen is we consider them still to be misguided, but that second clause has gone into overdrive on steroids. And they really do believe that, and you're hearing that. You just listen to Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid over the last couple of days on the continuing resolution that's going to have to happen so that the government gets shut down. And you listen to the words coming out of their mouths, and they're already trying to the whole goal is to do an Alinsky on the general population. They want to marginalize, that's a word I couldn't think of all last night, marginalize, not minimalize, marginalize any and all of what their perceived opposition is. And they look at us as being evil, which means we're subhuman. Therefore, we are not due to any respect. And this is what's confounding you. You think that I'm a person, I should get respect. Or at least don't treat me badly. Their mindset is not that way. And you can tell not so much by me just saying that, but just look at their actions and their words. It's not that I'm just calling them that right off the bat. I've just been watching this since 2006. This is de rigueur. This is their modus operandi. This is what we swim in. And that's why, even Republicans take us on saying, oh, don't be so crass. Well, I'm sorry, but I have no intentions of playing by Marcus of Queensberry rules when they're doing MMA. It just doesn't work.
Has anybody noticed that this is they're objectifying us, first of all. They're treating us like second-class citizens.
No class citizens.
Well, yeah. It's
like we're 101st level.
We're political dimmy.
Yeah.
That's a perfect word for it. They want us to have an attitude of dimitude, which is a Muslim word that says, you may not be a Muslim, but we want you to give us the respect as a vassal would to a king. I mean, that's really, you acknowledge that we are superior. And most progressives do have that morally superior attitude, like a smarmy school marm with her teacher's pet.
Yeah, well, when their comments come back and they say you're silly little girl, and it's like, do you realize how loaded that one statement is? Silly to describe what I believe to be true, because you don't believe it. It's silly, one. And then little girl, I'm 24 years old and I'm the head of an organization here in the state, but okay, minimalize it, marginalize me, do whatever you want, because you clearly believe that, I am an idiot. And that's not...
They do.
That is not fair, because
No,
when you have these conversations, you can't get anywhere in the conversation because they feel as though their point is already right. So why should they explain themselves? The second you come back with, either an article,
Facts.
a statement, fact, truth, nothing that's fiction, they can't handle it. And it becomes, oh, silly, ridiculous, you're stupid, idiot. And it's like, what?
Welcome to our world!
This is not, the way that we should be talking to one another. Yes, we disagree fundamentally on the issues. I understand that. But if fact says one thing and your fiction says another, you don't just throw words out there because you lost your battle. That's not what this is. And I think the more, these scandals, the more that, these things are happening with this flip-flopping back and forth in the national, Obama administration, what you're seeing is more people going, wait, why is that happening? And they're starting to question, because they have common sense. And when you look at it, this whole Syria debate, Fox News actually the other day did a great timeline piece from...
I posted it.
Yeah, from like August through all the way, like through these talks, debates, even back to last year and 2 years before that when Republicans were saying we need to get involved in Syria. Nothing happened. Maybe we could have prevented this, civil war and this horrible gassing of innocent civilians. But no. Now it's up to the gridlock in Congress to decide whether or not we attack, because now, it's too late, but let's make a decision. So now there's this whole ridiculous timeline of events. The administration is all screwed up. They one says one thing, Secretary Kerry says another, Biden says another, then Obama says something. And it's like, where is the leadership there? The messaging is mixed. No one can understand what's going on. And you see an outrage from the American public when 9% approve actually striking Syria. So you can't tell me that common sense at one point doesn't win, because I think it does. And I think, maybe in 2014 it'll be seen at the ballot box. One could only hope.
We could only hope.
I don't know.
So, legislative priorities. We went off on a huge squirrel tangent on that one. What else? Obviously, parental notification.
Squirrels!
What else are you guys looking at?
We actually have an event this Tuesday, September 17th, at St. Anselm Institute of Politics on the St. Anselm campus. And we're bringing in 4 national experts on the Common Core subject. Obviously, education is one of our big legislative priorities, and moving forward, Common Core is going to be one of those that we just, keep trying to educate people on. WMUR actually, I think last Tuesday or Thursday, did a piece on it. Anne Marie was involved in that too. Anne Marie Banfield, for those of you who don't know, is our education liaison at Cornerstone, and she has been very, very involved in the Common Core movement, trying to bring to light a lot of the issues that it has, whether it be the educational standards, the privacy standards that are in it. It's just comprehensively not the best focus.
Yeah, and in this time when we're hearing about the FBI, the NSA, the DEA, the IRS, Obama's data farm, I mean, everywhere you look 360, we're seeing nothing but the federal government demanding and scooping up of all of our personal data. We have become a surveillance state. And I'm looking at, once again, the same thing in Common Core. We're all geeks here, one way or the other, in the computer industry. And the one thing that we are, it's almost like has the train already left the station? But what, for a country that used to pride itself on its privacy, because privacy was a fundamental part of freedom, and the fact that I can't even ask the doctor that I share with my wife, I can't even ask about her medical problems because of privacy rules, and I'm looking, what privacy? And Common Core is the same thing. And it's not that they're going to just look after the grades and all of that, but there's lots of personal data that they're going to be hoovering up over lots of stuff, and I'm going, why do they need this information like the Federal Department of Education needs its own SWAT team.
The joke about your permanent record. This is going on your permanent record, mister. Oh, it's a big file.
Yeah, it is now.
Pictures, aerial photographs,
Yeah, and if
phone conversations.
And if you thought it was pretty bad that Google never forgot anything, wow.
Yeah, just looking at, a lot of the scandals that have happened, so now we're trusting that the standardization of education comes in systems, data mines the children that are going there, and the parents have no idea what's going on because they're not educated about what Common Core is, nor do they care. But those that pay attention have started to realize some of the schoolwork they're bringing home, some of the things that they're being asked to fill out, and they're like, this doesn't seem to make sense to me.
But that's the point, though. Some of the stuff that the kids are having to answer or fill out never gets home.
Which also is, more than half of the issue. But then the stuff that does get home, then, they ask questions. Why do we have to fill this out? This, doesn't make sense.
Well, if you're going to take over the next generation, you have to make sure you have the data.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I will point out that every single totalitarian government that has ever existed has always had one thing in common. They keep records about everything. And I'm afraid that, at some point with the over-legislative life that we now live, at some point if you do something wrong, somebody's going to say, let's find something that matches up to take that person off the table. I mean, just look at Joe the plumber when he had his little talk tete-a-tete on a campaign swing in 2007 with Obama. And Obama made that statement of, well, I think we all benefit when the wealth is spread around. And Joe the plumber kind of went off on, well, what about me? I want to start my own business. I want to help my own family, yada, yada, yada. And then the state of Illinois had some security breaches when those people, the Democrats in government, decided to start sweeping through their databases to come up with dirt on poor Joe, and then they used it. Now, what are they going to do when they start getting your medical histories?
it's interesting. So, that's
Sorry.
awfully dark. It's true. It's been a long time since this has been going on. This isn't new. They're just going to have more information.
But it's finally come to light.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've always been doing this, I think.
Yeah, and even nationally too, a bunch of different, networks. Even CNN has done some reporting on Common Core, and that I think is helpful to the overall mission of trying to educate the public. This is happening in our schools, and this is something that parents should be aware of. And if you are outraged by it, speak up. Go to your legislature because there are, actions that they can take. So that's one thing we're trying to do with this forum on Tuesday. It's at 7 p.m. at the Institute of Politics at St. Anselm College.
September 17th.
Yep, at Constitution Day. And we have 4 experts coming in on the subject who I think will provide very good insight into what Common Core is and how we can work together to maybe prevent some of these things from happening in New Hampshire. So it should be a good event. We're excited about it.
Now, is anybody recording it?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, I believe you guys were invited to come too.
I believe that we were.
Okay, good. Sounds good. So then I'll see you guys there. But yeah, as far as legislative priorities, a lot of our focus will be obviously, again, a lot of defensive work trying to keep what was, put into place in the 2010, 2011 legislative years, because it's all coming up for repeal, but our biggest one would be the parental notification.
And that's where there have been a couple of things that have come up. Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is Hillary's It Takes a Village. And then I put up a post of that nitwit from MSNBC, and I forget her name now, the professor that's also a commentator, saying that we own the children, not the parents. We don't make enough of, I'm going to have to look
Hey,
that up.
you didn't build that.
It. Yeah, well, there's that, but it was very, very disturbing in that she wanted us to believe that society owns the kids.
Wait a minute.
That
you tell a mother you didn't build that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
good luck
ahead.
with
Go
that.
ahead. Good luck.
But and I look at Common Core, nice idea. who could be against raising educational standards? But once again, the federal government has grabbed onto it and has linked it back to our own money being returned to us and say, if you don't do this, you don't get the money. And the politicians are all too eager to say, gimme, 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 and do X, Y, and Z with that. The Democrat progressives who believe the government should be all in charge, I know it's a constant theme, I sound like a broken record, but I can't explain it any other way, say, yeah, we'll bow down, just stuff the money in our shirts. You know, that's just the way it goes. And I look at this and like, here we go with a conservative attitude. If something's wrong, let's fix it. Higher standards, I get that. Why can't we cooperate with our local school districts? If somebody's put out a plan, let's try it. Coming from a manufacturing background, we know what we're doing now. Can we try an example or an experiment to see if that's better? And if so, we'll gravitate that instead of doing experiments all over the place and nobody ever checks for it. That's one nice thing about Common Core. Let's do this in a studious type way. But you just don't federalize everybody all at the same time. And that's the biggest problem here in New Hampshire that I would have. I want my school board to be reactive and accountable to me. I can't make Secretary Arnie Duncan or anybody else down in DC accountable to me.
Right, yeah. No, it's something that we've been fighting, and obviously, you know, as we try to preserve school choice and other things, you know, parental rights and education, it's something that is slowly and now I would say quickly falling out of our grasp. I mean, parents should be outraged by what is happening in school systems. And even the parents that send their kids to private or Catholic schools, there's still an effort to bring Common Core into that because of the standardized testing. So it's very hard for a Catholic school to say, no, we can't, you know, we're going to opt out of that. Because then those students are still subject to taking those standardized tests, which will have the material that Common Core is teaching. So even if they want to opt out, you're putting those kids, you know, at risk of failing these, you know, standardized tests. So it's kind of a catch-22 there, because it's supposed to be separation of church and state. You know, Catholic schools aren't getting any money from the federal government. They're operating on their own, and yet here's Common Core.
And you know, and from the libertarian streaks that run within me, I keep thinking, why shouldn't we have choice? I mean, you're looking at the technology of the MOOCs, you know, the massively online courses that are now available all over the place, from both the collegiate level all the way down through elementary school, that all kinds of alternatives are being offered for educating students. And yet we see the same old of the mantra of the school unions, the teachers unions, basically saying, we say that we're being forward-looking, that word forward, but they're really being
Forward.
Yes, but they're actually being regressive in saying, we're going to stick with what worked 120 years ago without the experimentation, mostly because it's jobs, and then the next step is union money, and then the next step is campaign money, which, squirrel alert, you know, Wisconsin, all the school unions, they're losing like 60% of their teachers because now they've got a choice.
That's the thing. Once there's choice, it's amazing how many people would opt out of the union. And that, to me, Governor Walker, I think, is just absolutely incredible. And some of the things that he's done in Wisconsin, you know, I only hope that we could model or mirror here in New Hampshire, but I think that's a far cry of the imagination.
And it only took one thing to say, we don't have to take the money for union dues out of their paychecks automatically. Mm-hmm. Unions, you'll have to bill your members for the subscription, and that's all it took. And now with the second hammer, or the second shoe that's now fallen, is that every year the unions have to recertify, and the union heads are now finding that there's nobody left to certify us. Yeah. And that, I will predict that in Wisconsin, you're going to see a rebirth in the educational models that are out there. And you're going to find the models, the individual educational plans, the IEPs, are really going to take place with the parents in charge, because they'll have the freedom to choose, because there's no union stumbling block in the way anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm not against teachers. We need teachers. We need great teachers. But now they'll have the chance to succeed the way that they believe that they can. And I wish we could get that here in New Hampshire. But this parental notification stuff, I'm sorry, that's just the status quo in government saying, we own you. Mm-hmm. Nah, 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 nah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know how much
I
time
love those
we
techie
have.
terms.
You have about 20 seconds.
Oh, never mind that. I was going to say when it comes to unions, we could move into the whole idea of the big labor coming out on Obamacare.
That's been an interesting topic.
Yes,
We're going to
it
have to
has.
get back to that at some point. And thank you, Ashley, for coming in again.
Thank you very much.
It's always too short.
And that means you'll have to
You're
come
here.
back.
And
So
that means I will come back.
Maybe we'll have you call in. We have all kinds
Yeah.
of options coming our way.
Sounds
AshleyPratt from Cornerstone Research, Cornerstone Policy Research, sorry. Thanks for coming to GrokTALk.
Thank you
Appreciate
very much
you.
for having me.
I'm Steve. Skip's here. Our next guest is in studio, and we're going to be back with him in just a couple minutes.
That was fun. I always love doing this.
Well, good.
Thank you.
Good. We just want to have fun. That's all
Yeah.
it is. I mean,
Certainly.
we're not like the others.
No, yeah. Kind of objectifying. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. I've just never seen anything. It's only gotten worse. I have to
It's
say,
only
like
going to get worse.
being in college, being a female, like conservative Republican, I didn't even get as much crap as I do now, and it's like it's just
well,
unbelievable.
that's because you.
I'm Ashley, by the way.
Kevin.
Nice to meet you. Kevin.
That's because
Professor at SNA2.
Ah,
That's because you've moved.
Is that where you are?
no, I went to St. Anselm. I graduated.
My sister-in-law
2 years
teaches there
ago.
too.
Oh, really?
Teaches
What's-
Spanish. Lourdes Jimenez Curve.
Oh,
You know her?
yeah, I do.
Oh,
I do
okay.
actually. I didn't have her, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's tenured there. She's been there a long
Yeah.
time. So.
yeah, I actually did not have her for class. I had a couple others, but I knew her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. Great kid.
But yeah, it's only going to get worse because you went from just being the outside group
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
banded together to the front lines.
Yes.
We're just the shock troops.
Well, see, and that's the thing, though, is I'm realizing that if I wasn't getting hit consistently, then that would mean I'm doing something wrong. So I'm like, the fact that Buckley takes his time to, tweet at me, twice a day, great. Let him continue to do it because at least he's putting focus on what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and you get him out from under his
So,
rock.
exactly.
It's a good thing.
What
Yeah.
you want to do is like what Russia's done to Obama.
Oh.
Rent free in his head.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was great to see you guys again. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'll be back soon.
Kevin,
Whenever you want me. I'll come
Okie
in.
dokie.
All right, take care, guys.
Okay,
Hi,
I'm
Skip.
Skip.
I met you once before at
Once.
a Bachman thing, I think.
Yes,
2 years ago.
long
something like that.
time ago.
Nice to be here. Yeah.
Oh, put on a set of headphones and get ready to. How much time we got left?
We're in the middle of the Newtone ad.
Oh, I love this.
It's a good spot. I heard it before. It's really funny.
Yeah.
We're just trying to have fun.
Let me know if you need higher or lower.
Okay. A little lower, maybe.
Okay, he's on number 5. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's good, yeah.
Some days I do have too much spare
funny.
time.
Yeah. As Ed said, there's a bullshit in there, I think.
There is,
on
yeah.
that thing.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
You did. Do you want me to bring us in?
We're not there yet.
Oh, all right. Never mind. I'll go sleep.
All our breaks are conveniently around 3 minutes and 40 seconds this week.
Okay.
Sometimes I wouldn't be able to get all the right amount of time in for the spots I had to run, and I'd end up with 2 minutes here and 4 minutes there, and like 3 minutes is good, 3.5 minutes to get people in and out, move some people around, have
Yeah.
a couple minutes to talk.
Yeah, we do have video going.
Oh, okay.
Not live.
I did shave this morning. Then.
Oh, I
Okay.
did.
thought, I think I'll shave because that's radio, and I better shave.
Yeah. Well, as I told Ashley, we'll be adding in the live. We'll be adding in the live audio streaming fairly soon again, and then we'll add the
Yeah.
live video streaming after.
And
that.
yes, you can bring
Great.
us back in if you want. And what we'll probably do is just have
Actually,
you,
why don't you go ahead and do it?
we'll have
maybe
you.
got the
Maybe
notes.
turn it down a little bit more. It's still kind of.
Okay.
Oh, it's
like
loud.
handwriting
Sorry, I
is
had to turn it up.
Yeah, just look at me, go up or down, and I'll get it.
Okay.
Curvic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I did read that right.
Yeah, you got it.
GrokTV.